Hey guys, what is up? It is Dan here from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and I am here to lay the SmackDan on this week's edition of NXT. So, on this week's NXT, Legado Del Fantasma want all the gold in NXT. Adam Cole has spoken publicly for the first time following his match with Kyle O'Reilly. Bronson Reed has been named the number one contender for Johnny Gargano's North American Championship. Two huge matches are set for next week, and an MMA-style Diamond Mine vignette aired. All this and more to come on this episode. So, we are going to kick things off talking a little bit, firstly, about Bronson Reed. So Bronson Reed, obviously, this was set up, I think it was last week or the week before. It was set up that Reed would face Austin Theory this week, and if he beat him, he would then become the number one contender to Johnny Gargano's North American Championship. And thanks to a distraction from Dexter Lumis, Bronson Reed has become number one contender. So, obviously, I spoke a little bit before about this whole thing with Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell and like what on earth is going on there. But yeah, so the weigher at ringside, Dexter comes walking down to the ring. Johnny and Candice essentially split and just like start running around the ring. Indy is also running away. She slides into the ring. Dexter Lumis then gets up on the apron. Looks like they're going to kiss again potentially. And then Austin Theory gets thrown into the ropes, knocking Dexter Lumis off. Bronson Reed then obviously has an advantage there. And he hits a top rope tsunami on Austin Theory to pin him and then become the number one contender. So what is going to happen when Bronson Reed goes one-on-one with Johnny Gargano? When is this match going to take place? It's not yet been announced. So these cups are good. So yeah, just a little bit more now about this Diamond Mine MMA style vignette that aired during the show. So it's quite interesting actually. So WWE apparently filed for the trademark for it about 4 months ago. It's obviously led to a lot of speculation online as to who it could be, what it could be. It might not even be a person. It may be a stable. It may even be a new concept. You know, we obviously saw Raw Underground. We've seen NXT being a little bit more edgy with like Timothy Thatcher doing the fight pit matches. You know, could we maybe see something a little bit more MMA-ish? You know, there's been people speculating it could potentially be Tessa Blanchard because she used some kind of diamond logo in Impact. Obviously, a name that's not been mentioned is Diamond Dallas Page as well, but you know, seems like he's a bit more affiliated with AEW now. For me personally, I mean, I'd actually like to see a stable that I thought they were going to do initially was the 4 horsewomen of MMA. Obviously, Ronda is not around now because she's pregnant. Shayna Baszler is obviously defending the women's tag team championships. So why not have this as Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke? Especially now that you've got the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. They're going to need challengers. So why not build up a nice women's tag team to go in there and face off against Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart? So we also saw Pete Dunne cutting a promo. So basically Pete Dunne here was saying that everyone's talking about opportunities within NXT. But yet nobody seems to want to give him an opportunity. And that's because he is the toughest person there is in NXT. He has beaten Kushida at TakeOver and can get the Cruiserweight title whenever he wants. He could go to London and, in his words, spark out Walter and take the UK belt. He could well do that. He could ensure that the North American title only goes one way, and that is to a bitter end. Or Karrion Kross, and he's not scared of him and doesn't need any smoke or mirrors and dares anybody to prove him wrong. Where is Pete Dunne going to go from here? I mean, obviously Pete has laid out every viable option to him, really. You know, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Pete Dunne versus Karrion Kross. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Pete Dunne versus Volta or Johnny Gargano or Kushida. You know, I think any one of them will be a great match for Pete Dunne. And, you know, he made that UK title his own, and obviously he's got a point to prove now with Walter overtaking his record. So, yeah. So that's obviously all that stuff. We also had a WWE Hall of Famer debuting on NXT. So Cameron Grimes is in a jewelry shop and he picks up a watch. He says to the guy in the jewelry store, look, I want to buy a watch. I want the most expensive one you've got here. He's looking at this watch. It said it's a really lovely watch, so expensive. All of a sudden, a hand comes into shop with a diamond encrusted watch. And a familiar voice says, that's a nice watch, kid, but it's not $1 million watch. Cut to the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase, debuting in NXT. Obviously, Cameron Grimes has mentioned Ted DiBiase in a few of his promos, but the man himself has shown up finally. I think he did actually mention something. I can't remember exactly what podcast it was on, but he did mention something on a podcast that he was going to be going to the developmental place and, you know, work with one of the kids down there. You know, I'm guessing obviously DiBiase may not be able to get in the ring and do a match, but, you know, him being some kind of manager maybe for Cameron Grimes could be fun, or setting up a little team to oppose him. Who knows? This could go in a number of different directions, I guess. So we heard from Adam Cole cutting a promo on Kyle O'Reilly. This, remember, is the first time we are seeing Adam Cole since the match at NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. So yeah, basically he was just really like healing things up here, saying that O'Reilly's not the face of NXT. He's never going to take his main event spot. Yeah, and he's like basically saying that Karrion Kross is not going to be like very good as a champion, but yeah, I mean, it's, I guess, what you'd expect really from the Adam Cole character at the moment. And then it was interesting, you know, I spoke last week about how nice it was with the Io Shirai interview when it was in like a conference room with the screen in the background and all of it being shown on the screen, like the different footage. But with this, you had it cut to Kyle O'Reilly watching it backstage. So O'Reilly is there, literally sitting there in a conference room, black room, just sitting there watching this promo unfold on the TV. Doesn't say a word. I'm just hoping this doesn't lead to something like a 45-minute or an hour-long match, because, you know, I had my criticisms about the length of the matches on NXT previously. That's not to say that, you know, I wouldn't like the match, but it's just, if it goes too long, it's gonna bore me. So, Legado del Fantasma. I mentioned these right at the top of the show, but they made a vicious statement in their match. They took on the team of the Cruiserweight Champion Kushida and the Tag Team Champions MSK. And they left them laying in the middle of the ring at the end of the night and posed with the Cruiserweight and Tag Team titles. So is this going to be a glimpse into the future for Legado del Fantasma? Obviously, we saw Santos Escobar as the Cruiserweight Champion. Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde have not yet been the Tag Team Champions. Could we see them all holding that gold aloft for real very, very soon? Only time will tell. Speaking of tag team titles, next week we have confirmed a street fight for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart will defend the championships against The Way. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell will face them in a street fight. And then there will be a Falls Count Anywhere match between Isaiah Swerve Scott and Leon Ruff. And also next week is the return of Finn Balor, the first time since losing the NXT title. Looks like he had a well-deserved break in Mexico with his wife. I look forward to seeing what he has to say next week. Is he going to take too kindly with Adam Cole and Pete Dunne seemingly throwing their names into the pot for a title shot before he does? So that is everything for this edition of Lay The SmackDan. Thank you guys for joining me. Don't forget to join me on Saturday morning, 8 a.m. BST. You can check out what I have to say then when I lay the SmackDan on SmackDown. You can follow all of us at Rebellious Noise on Twitter at RM Pro Wrestling. You can follow me at Dan_RebNoise. As I say, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks a lot, and we will see you very soon. Take care. Bye.